Because okay, the class is being recorded. Okay, so in the previous session means on 17th, na? Today is what? What is the date? Today is 22. So 17th, Sunday class. Sunday class, I started to teach programming, circuit programming in Python. Okay, on that Sunday class. So I have started to teach in Sunday class circuit programming, connection oriented circuit programming in Python. So that day I have written the code for this. This is called what? I have written the code for server side. Okay, server side code I have written. So that day a little bit of error was there. That day almost class was conducted up to 10 o'clock. So that moment, last at the end of the time, little bit of error was there in this line. Okay. So now if I run this code, it is sorted. So little bit I want to focus here, try to understand. So try to understand that is what in Sunday class, I started to teach connection-oriented circuit programming in Python. So for that, I have written the code. So almost time was 10 o'clock. So the time code was not executed. Little bit of error was there. I told you that it is time over. We will meet on Friday, next coming Friday. So code was amended. So you amend your code. So if I run this code, na, so server is listening. So code is being executed. So this is written for server side. So server is listening at the port. Port is this one. So server is listening for what? Connections. For the client, server is listening for on this at this port 9999 for incoming client connections. Okay. So if mistake was there, this bracket. So if I remove this, so if I run that code, you will get this type of error. First of all, you close this connection and then you try to so now whenever mistake here, two parentheses I need to keep here. So that time, this is the error I am getting. That is not being, it is to be executed here. Okay. Still, okay, no issue. So now code is executing, being executed. Little bit of focus I want to keep over this. This is, as I told you, that this is for connection-oriented circuit programming. Initially, circuit, it is a module imported from the imported. So after that, circuit object circuit created for this module. Okay. This is the object created for circuit. Okay. So I told you that this is for what? It indicates that it is internet domain, otherwise Linux domain. This is this indicate that TCP protocol. 0 means indicating that OS will select automatically on the basis of this type of socket. TCP will be selected. Okay, this is for TCP. If I return here DGRM, this is for UDP, user datagram protocol. Okay, we need to take this one for TCP protocol. This indicate that this is socket internet domain based. If I write here, not internet, okay. If I write dot here, if I have taken this type of like what, this is for, this is inet for IP version 4. If I have taken AF underscore inet 6 means IP version 6. IP version 6. If I simply have taken this, it is this socket programming for IP version 4, 32-bit programming. If I have taken this inet 6 means 128-bit IP version 6. DGRM means this is for UDP protocol. Okay, so I will take this inet. Inet means what? This is for IP version 4. Next come, this is for get host name means host name will be taken means in wherever the program you have written for that computer's host. Okay, after that, so this bind method, by this bind method, host name and port name will be binded with this socket. This is the object socket. Okay, for this object socket, this host name, port name will be binded. So next, server will listen for this. Server will be in listening mode for input incoming connections. So up to five connections will be allowed. So after this message, whenever server, this message will be displayed that server is listening on that port 999. Okay. So now whenever this accept method of that is the method of object method, the object is created for this socket. Okay. So this accept method, it will establish a connection for the client. The client, whomever is tries to connect with this server. So this accept method will establish a connection. Whenever connection established, it returns, this method returns a socket by this, okay. That is what new socket for that the client, and the client address will be displayed. Okay. The print, this will display a client address. You write this as ADD RSS. Okay. That whomever have connected with the server, that client's one more socket will be created. That is new socket for this client, and that client address will be displayed. Okay. After that, a message will be sent to the client, that is response from server. Means server is responding, that message will be sent to the client, and that message will be encoded to the Unicode translation format 8-bit. Okay. So this message is what response from server, that message will be sent to the client. After that, connection close. Okay. Close the resources. Close the resources. If anything, the total code kept under try block. So why I have kept the total code in try block means if any error occurs, okay, so that error will be handled by this except block. So error handled. So there is no any error. So code successfully run. Okay. So server is running. This is the code I have written on the Sunday. So little bit this message I was not getting. So that's why. So now I am getting this message. So this code will be executed. You can write this code and you can run on your computers. Okay. So now we will try to write a code for same connection oriented socket programming, but here in place of this method, get host name means host name means that computer host every computer has a host name. So if that computer is functioning as a server, that name will be taken. Okay. So now here I want to use I will use the loopback address. Loopback address is what that is called 127 dot hash mark. I want to write here 127.0.0.1. 127.0.0.1. Okay. So I want to use this loopback address. What is the meaning of this loopback address? By this address, so your data will be returned. That is a loopback address. From that address, your same mission. In your same mission, your server and client can be put in your. You can run your client program and server program can run in single mission. But if you buy this code, you need to server program you need to keep in separate computer and client program you need to keep in separate program. But by this address, if I put this address as a loopback address, I can use same mission to send and receive. So we will do the practice today's coding. Okay. Now I'm going to open a new packet here. See, come here. You come here. New file. This is PyCharm. Today I am using PyCharm IDE. PyCharm. Okay, new. Click on new and Python file. Click on Python file. Here type the file name. So first of all, you write like server side. Okay, server side .py. Okay, now it is open. Now I am going to write the code for the loopback address server side. Okay, first of all, try to understand what I am writing. As I told you that these classes are all free classes. Okay, anybody can join the classes. I'm expecting that these classes to be extended to rural areas throughout the world, because my intention is what I want to give support to those students who are from rural areas. So not only India, throughout the universe, so many rural villages are there. Students are residing in rural areas. So I want to give support to them. I want to enhance their programming skills. Not only from programming skills, I want to improve their English communication skills, because my classes all will be taught in English. These are all very free classes. Anybody can join. Okay. So I told you that we can do the code practicing in the mobile, no need of laptop for yourself, and simply you write the lot of code in the mobile. Okay. And classes will be conducted thrice of a week, compulsory Friday, Saturday, Sunday sharply at 8 p.m. And these classes will be taught up to my last breath of my life. As I told you that I have kept 30 years of service in the Indian Army. So I want to give, as a volunteer, I want to give these free services. So now I am commenting here, comment here, socket programming, connection oriented with loopback address, uh, for server side, for servers. Socket programming, connection oriented. I told you that connection oriented TCP protocol. Huh? Protocol. I have explained what is the role of the TCP with loopback address. So see, loopback address means, try to understand. If I take the command prompt here, command prompt. If I do loopback address, I told you that whatever the packets you will send, they will be returned to you in your mission. So you are testing in your computer, one computer. So that packets will be returned from in your computer. So same thing, I want to use loopback address. That is what address for server. That is 127.0.0.1. Okay, ping. Ping command will be used 127.0.0.1. So now you check back this. Try to understand what is the miracle is happening here. So loopback address means in your computer packets will be whenever ping command will be used in networking to check back the connectivity between the computers. Ping stands for packet internet gopher. Okay, packet internet gopher. So by this loopback address, how many packets will be sent? 4 packets sent and 4 packets received without any loss, 0% loss. How much of time it's taken? Milliseconds will be taken because within your computer, 0 milliseconds. No more time not was not taken. Okay. So if connection is to lot of means two machines are connected on a network and they are not in local area net, they are part of wide area network on internet. So a lot of time it will be taken. So loopback address, as I told you that in this here, so same your server side program and your client program will be on same mission. But in the previous code here, I told you that I have used this is what get host name. For this programming, server programming, you need to keep in one computer and client program you need to keep in another program. Okay. So now come PyCharm. Today's one more IDE for this is for only for Python to write the code. So now I want to write the code here. First of all, come down here. First, as I told you that import a socket. This is a module. Socket is a module. I told you that module nothing but is a folder or directory. It will hold lot of classes and that classes will hold that methods. After that, you create a object. Create object for create object for socket class. Socket. Okay, see socket class. So what is that object? You can simply write socket underscore. You put a name for your object. Socket underscore server. You write like this. Okay, means this is an object. What I told you that in Python, what is the syntax for any object to create any class? First, object name. Okay, what is the syntax? You need to write object name and is equal to class name. Okay, bracket. Bracket means that is the, you can say it constructor. This is called constructor. You mention here constructor. Constructor of whom? Constructor of the class. Okay. So as per this syntax, what is the object name? Socket underscore server is equal to class name. What is our class name? Socket. Okay. Socket. Socket. That socket has a method. That socket has a method. Socket dot. What method? If you put dot operator, you can get them this method we will use here. This method, socket method. Simply your S socket, this method. So method always will having brackets. Understand? So understand, try to understand. This is a class of this module. I told you that module is nothing but simply you module. You comment here, this is a module. Okay. That module is nothing but it holds, it is a directory or folder. Folder may have a lot of files. In the same manner, this module has a lot of class names. One class name is this is socket. That class name has methods. Whenever you keep dot, so that method socket method always method or function, they will have brackets. So simply you can say that this is a method. So now what, as per this syntax, for this socket class, I have created the object socket underscore server. You can simply my name, your name, yes, simply you. But S means what? What do you mean of S? There is no meaning, no? So meaningful. So this is socket programming. So that socket, as I told you, that is a software interface. I told you that in the previous sessions. I told you that what is socket? Socket means socket is a software interface. What? Software interface, comma, otherwise endpoint between two devices. Simply I have written to communicate. Okay. So it is a software interface. Huh? So now I have created the object for the socket class. That socket is name is socket underscore server. Okay. Next, within this bracket, no, I told you that it is a constructor. So within this bracket, we need to define that socket. This is for this socket created for what? I told you that this is for what? Internet domain. Okay, if I keep this is internet domain. Otherwise, if you keep some other like this is for internet domain and this is for Unix domain, AF underscore Unix. So we are on internet domain. We need to say that. After that, command. Next, socket type. This socket is which type? It is TCP connection oriented. I told you that this is what connection oriented. Connection oriented means TCP based, otherwise UDP based. We need to say seek socket dot. Okay. Suppose this, if you take this one, it indicates that sock underscore stream it is for what? TCP based. Agar suppose sock underscore DGRM for means that will be for, if you take sock underscore DGRM, this DGRM for UDP protocol. If you take this one, it indicates that that is for what? Your TCP protocol. Okay. After that, if you pass any, if you put 0 here, so it indicates that it is your choice whether you need to keep. 0 means what? You know, OS will automatically select the protocol as per the socket type. You are clearly explicitly mentioning here this is TCP based. That's why operating system will choose the socket type as TCP. Okay. If you don't want to keep this 0, no issue. Okay. No, next, come down. So now next you need to take the host name. Here the host, I want to use the that is what loopback address. Loopback address must be in as a string, single quotation or double quotation, 127.0.0.1. So now your host address means your server and client, both programs means apps are running on same mission. Okay. So this is the loopback address that is to be kept in as a string, single quotation or double quotation marks. Next, port number. You write the port number. Port number you take. I told you that how many ports are there. How many ports? Take any port number. I told you that how many ports are here. Whenever I 0 to 65,000 535 ports are there. 65,535 ports are there. 35 ports. Out of them, you need to take that port only. Some ports are predefined ports are there. So don't take that ports. Apart from that, you can take any ports. Why? Because 65,535, this port is what? It is a 16-bit unsigned integer. 16-bit port is what? 16-bit unsigned integer. Who is 16-bit unsigned integer? This port. Port is what? Port, I told port is 16-bit unsigned integer. 16-bit unsigned means if you take it as a 2 to the power 16. If you take it as a print 2 raise 2 power star star 16. So it will print what? It will print 65,536, zero included. So if you run this code, where is that? I need to run this code. If you run this code, you are running this code where client server. Our app is what? Today's class. Client server app. Where is my app? Server side. Na? This is my app. I need to run this. So if I run this, what I'm getting here, 65,536, this number you are seeing here. So this is forward. Ports will be, it is unsigned. Unsigned integers, signed integers, what you know, all the positive and negative integers are called signed integers. Only the positive integers are called unsigned integers. Only the positive. They are the unsigned means only positive integers. Huh? Only positive integers. They are called unsigned integers. If all the negative and positive integers, they are called signed integers. So 16-bit means 65,536, zero included. So any one port, I have taken this port. Next port, you need to bind these two, host name and port number, with what socket? Which socket? This socket. So you bind with that socket underscore server dot. Okay. So we need to take this method. Okay. We need to take this method. This bind method, we need to pass the two host comma ports. Okay. Now you do this one. Now what happened? This bind method used to bind these two values, port number and host address, loopback address, with this socket. Socket created for what? Created for this socket class. And this constructor, under this constructor, I told you that constructor class name, again I have used the class name here. Within this constructor I have passed these two parameters. What is, which type of socket it is, TCP or UDP, and this socket will programming for what? Internet domain you are writing for, otherwise Unix based, like that. After that, now what happened? Come down here. So now you put a message like this. Why we need to put? So whenever listen for connection, server is listening for you, put this like word, a message like server is listening on given port number. Which port number? This port number 1 2 3 4 5. Server is listening. So okay, next is word. So before that, you write like this: socket underscore server dot listen. This method we need to use. Why this method? By this method, server is listening on this port for incoming client connections. So after that, this message will be displayed. So whenever by this method server is listening on that port, so this message will be displaying. So server is listening now. So once server is listening, so up to how many connections we will give? It is your choice. How many connections? For five clients. Server is waiting for 5 clients. Okay, this is the limit I have given. So next is what? We can put one more message. That is what I want to keep this message copy. You paste here. You paste. So here, what I want to use somewhat formatted string is formatted string. That formatted string, I told you many times in the previous classes, formatted string will be customized string. Server is listening. Okay. So we will convert this as it is. Why do we need to write extra code? Okay, we will convert this code as formatted string. Okay, server is listening on which port. We need to keep the flower braces here. Okay, here you put host. Okay, that host and one more and that port. Okay,